Today, in a single session, we built a real mobile game from an empty folder, gave it original art made by AI, and uploaded it to App Store Connect. And I mean a real game, a tower defense called Kingdom Guard, with the code sitting public on GitHub and the build ready for review in App Store Connect. Not a toy, not a mock-up. This chapter is the whole pipeline, start to finish, told honestly, every tool, every command, and the parts that broke along the way. Let me show you exactly how a game gets built and uploaded in a single day. Here's the result first, before we build a single line. Towers firing on incoming waves of enemies, projectiles flying, and a crystal at the end of the path that we have to defend. This is Kingdom Guard, running as a real app. By the end of this course, you'll know exactly how a game like this gets made from nothing and pushed to the stores. Here are the 4 stages of shipping a game, and the exact tools we use for each. First, the game itself. A tower defense built on HTML5 Canvas and plain JavaScript. Then the art, sprites, and an app icon, all generated with OpenAI's GPT-Image1. Then packaging. We wrap the whole folder into an offline app with Capacitor. And finally, shipping. A signed AAB for Android and an IPA for iOS. No engine, no paid assets, and it lands on both stores. So here's the arc of the whole day in 4 moves. Build, a game that runs anywhere. Dress, original AI art that's copyright-free. Wrap, turn one folder into a real app. Ship, sign it, upload it, submit it. We'll do every one of these for real, the actual commands I ran, and the real gotchas that trip me up. Let's start building. Before writing a single line of code, 3 decisions make shipping in 1 day possible. First, pick a genre simple enough to actually finish tower defense. Enemies walk a path, you place towers, done. Second, choose a tech stack with 0 setup. HTML5 Canvas, no engine to install. Third, get art you can generate instead of buy. AI images, fully copyright-free. Nail these 3, and the rest is just building. Let's compare honestly. A full engine like Unity is powerful, but it means licenses, a heavy install, and a big final build. Godot is lighter, yet you still install it and wrestle with export settings. Plain HTML5 Canvas is just JavaScript in a file. Nothing to install, it runs in any browser, and it packages tiny, around 5 megabytes. For a game you want finished in a single day, that raw speed wins. Here's the whole tool chain in 3 parts. 1 JavaScript file, game.js, holds the entire game. Canvas plus vanilla JavaScript, no framework. OpenAI's image model, GPT-Image1, generates every sprite, so the art is original and copyright-free. And Capacitor wraps the folder into real native apps for both the Android and iOS stores, running fully offline. Small, but complete, nothing missing. So here's the game itself, Kingdom Guard. Enemies march along a winding path toward your crystal, and you place and upgrade towers to stop them across 12 escalating waves. It's simple to explain, satisfying to play, and the whole point, actually finishable in a single day. That last part is what everything else serves. Every game, underneath, is one loop that runs 60 times a second, update then draw. Update moves the world forward a tiny step. Draw paints that new state to the canvas. In Kingdom Guard, that single loop does 3 jobs each frame. It walks the enemies along the path, lets every tower find a target and shoot, and settles the score. Gold you earn, lives you lose. Get that loop right, and the game is basically alive. Everything else is detail we hang off it. Here's the trick that makes movement dead simple. The path is just a list of points, waypoints. We measure its total length once. Then instead of tracking X and Y for every enemy, each enemy stores 1 number, how far along the path it has traveled. A helper, POSat, takes that distance and hands back the exact X, Y on the route. Move the enemy? Add speed to its distance. No pixel math per enemy, per frame. And because it's waypoints, you can draw any route you want. Tower logic in plain terms. Each frame a tower scans every enemy, keeps only the ones inside its range, and picks the one that's traveled furthest. the one closest to your crystal, the real threat. It aims at that target, and when its cooldown hits 0, it fires a projectile and resets the timer. The projectile flies over, lands, and deals damage. The cannon's shot splashes, hurting everything nearby. The archer's is fast and single target. Scan, pick, fire on cooldown. That's the whole combat model. On screen, it stays simple. You tap a buildable spot, pick a tower from the menu, and it drops in and starts defending on its own. 3 tower types to mix: cannon, archer, frost, against 4 kinds of enemy, across 12 waves that keep getting meaner. And all of it, every enemy step and every shot, runs out of that one game loop we just built. The usual blocker for a solo developer is art. You simply can't ship copyrighted sprites you found online. So here's the fix. Generate every sprite yourself with OpenAI's image model, GPT Image 1. 8 game sprites plus an app icon, all original, all completely free to use, no license to ever worry about. That's the whole idea of this chapter. AI-generated game assets, made to order, that you fully own. The key parameter here is background transparent. That one setting gives you a clean cutout, no white box behind the sprite, so you can drop it straight onto the game canvas with 0 editing. The other trick is consistency. Send the exact same style sentence with every prompt. One shared line describing outline and shading, and all 8 sprites come back matching. 1 call per sprite. Decode the base 64 PNG. Save the file. That's the entire generator. And here they are, 3 towers for enemies, and the crystal, every one generated to the same cartoon style, so they read like a matched set. After generation, a quick trim and resize pass with pillow crops the transparent edges and scales each sprite to 256 pixels, and they're game ready. No asset store, no license worries. Original art you made yourself. The app icon is just one more generation. A glossy golden shield wrapped around the game's blue crystal, opaque this time, since an icon fills its whole tile. A store's-ready icon from a single call, no designer, no Photoshop. Same model, one more prompt. A game is more than a working set of rules. It needs feedback, and it needs a reason to keep playing. In Kingdom Guard, that's 3 things: the gold economy, tower upgrades, and a handful of little effects we call juice. A white flash on every hit, goal numbers that pop up and float away, health bars that drain, a 2-time speed button. Designers have a name for the sum of all that: game feel. It's what turns correct code into something you actually enjoy touching. This is the compulsion loop, the reason your thumb keeps coming back. You earn gold from every kill. You spend that gold to build and upgrade towers, and each wave raises the stakes a little higher. Earn, spend, survive. 3 words, and it's the skeleton of every tower defense ever made. It's simple on paper, but that little cycle is exactly what makes a player tap start next wave one more time when they told themselves they'd stop. Juice is cheap, and it punches way above its weight. A 1/10 of a second white flash when an enemy takes a hit. A little plus gold number that pops off the kill and floats up as it fades. A health bar that visibly drains. None of it changes a single rule of the game. The math is identical with it or without it, but all of it makes the thing feel alive under your finger. And the code is just a timer and a list of effects. The HUD ties the whole thing together. Hearts up top for your lives, gold on the side to spend, the wave counter so you know how close the end is. A player can glance at the screen for half a second and know exactly where they stand. No menus, no reading. That instant clarity is part of the feel, too. So far, Kingdom Guard is just a web page, HTML, a canvas, and one game.js file running in a browser. That will not get you into an app store. To fix that, we reach for Capacitor. Capacitor takes your www folder, the whole game, and wraps it inside a real native shell, one for Android and one for iOS. And here's the key choice we make up front. We bundle the game inside the app itself. No server, no download at runtime. It just runs offline, straight from the home screen. 3 commands set the whole thing up. First, cap init, that names the app Kingdom Guard, gives it the ID com.muse.kingdomguard, and points at the www folder where the game lives. Then capadd Android and capadd iOS create the two native projects. Finally, capsync copies the game into both of them. One codebase, two native apps. That's the whole trick. The stores want your icon in a whole pile of sizes and densities. Doing that by hand is miserable. So we run Capacitor assets generate. It takes the single AI-generated icon, one 1024 pixel PNG, and produces every size both platforms ask for automatically. One file in, dozens out. And at this point, it's a genuine native app, not a web page anymore. The icon sits on the home screen. The game is bundled inside. It plays with no internet at all. From here, all that's left is to sign it and upload it to the stores. Google Play will only take a signed app bundle. You can't just hand a raw build. So here's the whole job. Make one signing key, wire it into the build, and produce an AAB. Two artifacts to keep straight. The keystore is your signing identity. It proves this app is really from you. And the AAB, the Android app bundle, is the packaged game the store actually accepts. Key first, then bundle. First, keytool makes the release keystore. That's the one and only key that can ever sign an update to this app. Guard it like it's irreplaceable because it is. Then you point the release build at that key in build.gradlew, run gradlew bundle release, and out comes app release.aab signed and only about 5.5 megabytes. That tiny sign bundle is exactly what Google Play wants. With the build done, push the whole game public on GitHub. One command creates the repo and pushes it. The code is MIT licensed and the art is 100% original, so anyone can read exactly how it's made, end to end. There's just one rule you never break. The keystore stays out of Git. It's Git ignored, and it never gets committed. And here's the public repo, the game, the code, the whole story, out in the open. Meanwhile, on disk, a signed AAB sits ready to drop straight into the Play console. The Android side is done. The signed AAB is ready. Now Google Play. Let me set the expectation honestly. Creating a brand new app happens exactly once, and it happens in the Play console web UI. There's no API for it. You click through the form, name the app, and get an app record. After that, uploading builds can be fully automated. So it's one manual step up front, then it scripts the rest of the way. For steps on Play. First, create the app entry in the console. Second, upload the AAB to a track, internal, closed, or production. Third, fill the required declarations, like content rating and data safety. Fourth, submit for review. A free, offline game keeps those declarations simple. No ads, no data collected, and everyone rating. Just no review, takes days, not minutes, plan for it. Because the game is offline with no accounts and no ads, every declaration is the simple answer. Data collected? None. There are no accounts. Ads? None. It's a free game. Content rating? Everyone. There's no violence realism to flag. That honesty isn't just cleaner. It's exactly what makes the review painless. Here's where the two stores differ. On Google Play, the very first upload of a new app is a one-time manual step in the console. You create the app entry and upload the sign bundle by hand. After that, a service account key lets a single script push every future build to a track automatically. No more clicking. For this run, our sign bundle is built and ready. That first console upload is the one step still left to do. Set it up once, then automate forever. iOS is the fiddly one. Signing, provisioning, and Apple's rules all in play. Here's the good news. With an App Store Connect API key, CodeBuild can auto-register the bundle ID and provision the app for you. No clicking through the developer portal. So the plan is simple. We archive the app, export a store-signed IPA, and upload it. Two tools do the work. CodeBuild to build and export, and altool to send it to Apple. One CodeBuild command archives the app. Because we pass the App Store Connect key with allow provisioning updates, it registers the bundle ID and signs everything automatically. No fiddling in the developer portal. Then export gives us a store-signed IPA ready to upload. The API key really is doing the heavy lifting on signing here. Here's the honest part. The first upload was rejected. Apple wants a portrait-only app to either support every iPad orientation or declare it needs full screen. Kingdom Guard is portrait, so we set the flag. UI requires full screen equals true. Then we bumped the build number, re-archived, and the second upload went through clean. Upload succeeded with no errors. One Apple-specific catch to know. Their API refuses to create the app record. That's a one-time click in App Store Connect. Once it exists, the build we just uploaded shows up there, ready for test flight and review. iOS side done. Let's step back. In one session, we built a real tower defense game with a single JavaScript file, gave it original AI-generated art, and wrapped it with Capacitor for both platforms. We created a keystore, signed and built the Android bundle, then archived and uploaded the iOS build to App Store Connect. A small game like this can move through review fast, but I won't call it live before it is. It's submitted for App Store review, and I'll share how it goes in a follow-up. Every piece was something you could do yourself, with tools that are free or nearly free. Now you can picture the whole pipeline, start to finish, and repeat it. Here's the map, each step and the one tool that does it. Game, Canvas, and JavaScript. Art, GPT Image 1. Package, Capacitor. Android, a keystore and gradlew to assign bundle. iOS, CodeBuild and altool into App Store Connect. Source, public on GitHub. If you remember nothing else, remember that shipping a small game is this short a list. The whole game is public. Clone it, swap the art and waves, and ship your own version. If watching a real game, go from an empty folder to the App Store made this feel doable, that was the goal. Subscribe, and tell me in the comments what game you'd build in a day. The link's in the description. Now go make one.